Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline Changes report for the past 24 hours. Massive amount of frontline changes, and I mentioned that I'm expecting some big frontline changes these next few days, including today. And this is not coming exactly where I think it's supposed to come from. It's a surprise because the Russians have started a Kharkiv offensive, and but it's not the entire Kharkiv front. It's just one part. It's basically over on the eastern part of it, over in this area here. And I've decided to put this as part of the Dvorichna front region. So the Dvorichna front has basically doubled in length, including this part, because I believe this is part of the same operation from the Russians as the Dvorichna front region, which is in these three arrows, like generally speaking. So we're going to go on to the frontline change over at Milove. So at Milove, the Russian forces have captured this settlement. And so we have confirmed now there's first this geolocation of Russian forces raising the flag. And then after that, we have confirmation. So let me see. Yeah, so I over zoomed. So this is where I initially mapped it, but the Ukrainian mapping, Deep State UA has considered the entire region, and this is a very extensive one. It includes all the forests leading from Butriki all the way to most of this forest here. Most likely is the entire forest, but the Ukrainian mapping, you know how it works. And half of the forest southwest of Milove, the entire southern forest of Milove, and leading all the way back to the border. And the Russians are now attacking towards Ambarne. And this is a massive frontline change that just came out of not exactly nowhere, but almost nowhere. So this is a very big frontline change here. And I have warned that there seems to be a Kharkiv offensive, and there seems to be something brewing at Kharkiv front, and I've been warning it for around 2 weeks already. If you have been following the situation report, also published on this channel, so if you have been watching the DPA, there's two different reports. The current one you're watching right now is the frontline changes. This is the frontline changes, and then you have the SITREP. SITREP is situation report, which is the full report of all the things that's happening across in the front line. Frontline changes only reports on the changes of the front line. There's the difference. So, and in the SITREPs, I have been talking about this Kharkiv offensive. You can see Kharkiv offensive, suspicious Russian Kharkiv offensive. I have mentioned this already. In case you cannot see, I mean, big, of suspicious Kharkiv offensive. I have been warning about this, and this seems to be, exactly it, because it is too suspicious. The Russian movements and the attacks is just too unusual, and I've been flagging it for some time. Not that you can do anything about it. No, it's, it's just like, you watch your sports. There's certain transfer to your club, to the sports team that you support. There's nothing you can do about it, even if you know the rumors. But entertainment. Press the like button, subscribe, and happy birthday to you. And yeah, so this is the frontline change around here. The extent is pretty big. We're talking about like 4 kilometers, almost 4 kilometers from the border. The entire front line is pretty long. We are talking about like a 8 kilometers front line, very big one. And from the thickest part here, to the forest is also around 3.6 kilometers. The Russians are now on the verge of to reaching Ambarne, the closest next settlement, which is around less than a kilometer away. So that is the main frontline change in this sector. So also my mouse zoom have some problems. So please pardon me for that. I have ordered a very cheap mouse. Hopefully it works well. Because I'm so poor, viewership's too low, no choice. I cannot buy, like this one. Let me show you. This is Razer. Now I downgraded to a $5 mouse. So sad. No choice. Life is hard. Just like the Ukrainians. So anyway, over in the same front line, over in the Dvorichna front, this is Topoli, this is Troivka, and the Russian forces have basically also confirmed to have advanced in this sector. We have been anticipating some updates on this area for like months now. Because the Russians have already announced the capture of Troivka and Topoli since forever. Troivka was announced on the 25th of May, and Topoli was even earlier on the 25th of February. So we have been anticipating some kind of update here for a long time. Finally, the Ukrainian mapping, finally, cannot hold it back anymore. The constipation is released, and the freaking diarrhea of frontline change have just came, and this entire region here is captured by the Russian forces, including the entire of Topoli. So Topoli is confirmed. We have already confirmed Troivka ourselves, but the Ukrainians have just acknowledged the loss of Troivka to the Russians, and including this forest patch of the Oskil River. This entire chunk here is now under Russian control, and I'm expecting more because of Kanyamka is also claimed to be captured by the Russian forces. So more is to come. The thickest part is probably 5 kilometers. From Topoli is around 3.7 kilometers, and over the forest of the river is around 2.5 kilometers. The entire length of the front line is around 6 kilometers, 6.5 kilometers. So this is a pretty long front line as well. And so together, you can see this is a big offensive that is currently developing in this region here. And particularly in this sector here in the north, this is sparsely defended. The Ukrainians are not exactly here. So which is why the frontline change here is pretty big. This area here along the corner here is already contested. Like the Ukrainians have been defending there for some time. The frontline change did not happen overnight, but the one at Milove, only happened the past few days. So this is definitely a big development. It does entirely change the strategic situation in this sector here. So that's the big one, but there is still more frontline changes. These two combined is 42.84 square kilometers. Is huge. It's massive. Frontline change here. Let me draw the box down. Yeah, so it's pretty big. There's more to come. So more frontline changes. The next frontline change after the Dvorichna front is over at Sinkivka at the Kupyansk front. So this is Kupyansk, and over in the Sinkivka region, there's some updates from the Ukrainian mapping as well. So the first, they have consistently continued to claim this area here. So we have put the Ukrainian claim back in here, confirming the Ukrainians' presence in Sinkivka. But this is just a claim, this is not confirmed. And however, the Ukrainians have gave up this chunk of territory here in the southeast or east of Sinkivka, confirming the Russians' advance in the eastern part of Sinkivka. I have made a joke about calamari about this, so do check out the situation report. As I mentioned, like I said, is this one here? This one. Yeah, you need to attack, and you need to pincer this video, and lay eggs inside it. So that's one thing, and also and since we are talking about cross advertising my own stuff, there's a DPA news channel in case you do not know, and so do check out this video, the one with the big cross. This one is a big one because this is Azerbaijan and Russia, breaking up. They have come out of the closet. They don't like each other. So check it out. This is a very big one. Just type DPA news, you will find the channel. So we go on to the next frontline change is over at Chasiv at the Bakhmut front. This is Bakhmut. And over in the Chasiv region, there is two frontline change, one in the north, one in the south. In the north, we have just a slight frontline change based on Ukrainian mapping. By pro-Russian source. This is a Russian claim. So this is a Russian claim. So the Russians have claimed that they have taken this tree line entirely, which I totally believe. I don't think there's any way out. This is an impossible salient, and impossible salient is impossible. So in the south, over here in the north of Stupovsky, actually this is part of the Shevchenko district and near the Yuzhny district. this area here, where the Chasov Yar refractory plant, shop number 2 region here. This area here is claimed to be captured by the Russian forces. This is a Russian claim. They have claimed that this entire area here is under Russian control based on their mapping. So based on the Russian mapping, the Russian source is Ryba. So they have claimed this. So this is the Russian advance in this region, which is not entirely a surprise. But don't expect too much from this area here. As I mentioned, the Russians can't go anywhere attacking this area here. So the battle here continues. The advance is around 800 meters, 900 meters. So that's for the Bakhmut front. The next front line change, we just go further south to the Toretsk front. So at the Toretsk front, there is this big change over here at Nelipivka. So this has been a long ridiculed mapping. I have ridiculed it because this area here continued to be set as a gray zone by the Ukrainians. This is an entirely impossible salient because impossible salients are impossible. This is impossibly this can't be real. You know, the Ukrainians just cannot defend this place with the front line looking like this. Of course, the Ukrainian front line looks different on the Ukrainian mapping, but because that's them totally ignoring some of the geolocations and of the Russian presence in the region, finally they have conceded. So the Russian forces is now confirmed to have taken off this area. The entire flank of Nelipivka is entirely under Russian control. I should zoom out, this is a bit too near. So Nelipivka, so now the map look like this with the Russian forces taking all of this area. The entire outskirts of Nelipivka is under Russian control. And this also helps us confirm that Nelipivka is captured by the Russian forces. We finally have this full confirmation of the capture. This advance, alleged advance is 2.7 kilometers. Like I said, this is an impossible salient. Impossible salients are impossible. It is just it's just a delayed thing. We're just waiting for information to come in. So after this, oh my God, it's already 12 minutes. Holy God, this is going to be a long frontline changes report. And after Nelipivka, the next frontline change is over at Andriivka. So over in the Komar front. So this is another of this impossible salient is impossible, where I already expected this update for a long time. This is Andriivka, and this is Oleksievka, and then the Russian forces have mapped by the Ukrainians to have taken off this area here. Clearly, this looks like a cope because the front line is so straight, and in the single update, suddenly this much ground is lost. This is a cope mapping, but they reserve the right to not update us with the latest information. So let me move this here a bit, and then so we have a carriage here. This is a carriage, and then so the carriage is moving in the wrong direction. It's heading this direction. Like the carriage is pro-Russia. Holy shit. So anyway, this advance in the longest point is 4.7 kilometers. Clearly, nothing moved 4.7 kilometers like this in the active war zone. So this is definitely just have been lost for quite some time, and they just updated the map. So anyway, and the entire front line is 5 kilometers, which is why I say if this front line is just way too big for it to be such a straight line. So this is why I say this is a code mapping. So more of this is to come, with the Russians already announced the capture of Oleksievka, Zeleny Kut, and Novoukrainka. I believe you're going to have a train. We're going to have like a freaking bus here. So anyway, so that's bus to have 6 wheels. So whatever that is supposed to be. So after this frontline change at Andriivka, the next frontline change is over at Pidorka. So the Ukrainian mapping, very interestingly, put it in the different color. I'm not entirely sure why is this in the different color. Like why is it in a different color? I don't understand. Or is it just simply means a new advance? Yeah, maybe this is it. I'm not sure. I've like this is the new advance too. But why is this so special? Why is there a special color? I have no idea, but that's the Ukrainian mapping. We have updated the map accordingly to their mapping, and the Russian forces have basically stabbed a big kukri knife, you know, a big blade into the heart of Bipon, which means Bipon is pretty much gone case. I think in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're gonna see the announcement of the capture for Bipon. Because yeah, how can you still hold this position when all the important strategic positions is now under Russian control? Russian forces is going to easily fan out and capture everything. So the advance here is around 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers, as as we have already established, usually 2 kilometers is undefended. That means the Ukrainians are not defending this place. They basically have run away. Once the Russians have crossed the river, established a position across the Mokriali River, the Ukrainians just run away. They did not defend. That's what 2 kilometers means in a single day of frontline change. So the Russians are likely to have to capture Bipon entirely within the next 24 hours. After Bipon, the next frontline change is the Fidorka, which is what I just mentioned just now. So this is Fidorka. Wow, you see the mouse is broken. Fidorka. So along this tree line, the Russian forces have taken positions. According to the Ukrainians, the Russians have taken this tree line. So yeah, so it feels like a cope. Am I supposed to believe the Ukrainians are here? I don't know. So let's see how this goes. Because sooner or later they're going to do this, because that's what they did previously. They draw this. And now this is gone because there's a geolocation of Russian forces at this position. And with this geolocation means this entire chunk here should be under Russian control. So the rationale for this this mapping like this is done by me. The rationale is this, because if the Russian forces is here, then they would have control around here. And the Ukrainian mapping have already mapped the Russians to be here. So the Ukrainians cannot be here. This is an impossible salient. Like this is a socks, and socks are smelly. This is too smelly here. This is very smelly, very smelly. There is zero way the Ukrainians can reinforce or resupply this kind of position. So it's impossible. I've closed it up. That's the reason why. Particularly the Russians already claim that the front line looks like this. So this geolocation only straightened the front line. And so which is why, I've mapped it in this way and just cut the bullshit. So that's the front line change here. The advance here is around 1.4 kilometers to the geolocation point. It's around 1.1, 1.2 kilometers, which means this is contested. There is some resistance, but not very much. And over in this one is around 1 kilometer. Similarly, there is some kind of resistance. So Ukrainian forces are trying to defend, but they are unable to hold back the Russians. So that's basically what it means. So after Shevchenko, we jump all the way to Zaporizhzhia front. This is Zaporizhzhia, and so at Zaporizhzhia front, we have the battle for Kupyansk. So Kupyansk battle, according to the Ukrainian mapping, there is some updates. Yesterday's frontline change, we have already marked these two frontline changes based on geolocation. The Ukrainians have updated further. They have mapped that the Russians have taken a new bridgehead across this western side, and on the eastern side, the Russians have expanded the zone of control north of this weird thingy, like I don't know, udon, over here. So that's the frontline changes around here. So the Ukrainians did not map this in. I don't give a damn. I'm going to map it in because how can this be under gray zone or whatnot? Or they just don't accept that it's real. So I mapped it in. And the advance at the greatest extent is around 1 kilometer. On the eastern part here, the extent at the biggest is around maybe 500 meters, 450 meters. So I wonder why the hell is this. I have no idea. It looks like a very poor replica of the palm, in Abu Dhabi. Is it Abu Dhabi? Oh, like freaking god, I also no idea. Anyway, yeah, the pump in the Middle East, no. So anyway, that's it. So that's all the frontline changes report for the past 24 hours. So we're gonna do some maths. Not math. You cannot take math. No, it's not good for your health. No, don't take drugs. Anyway, yeah. So for those that do not know what is math, don't Google. The spelling is MATHS. No. Anyway, so Ukraine has captured 0.24 square kilometers, which is the one at Sinka, where I acknowledge their claim. That's all. So which is this one over here. Yeah. So this is the total of the Ukrainian capture and of frontline change in their favor. So the Russian ones, let's do some calculation. 42.84 plus. Wait. I want to have a better background. Let's have this background here. This background is interesting. So yeah, let's do this one. Middle way, is bigger. So 42.84 plus 3.01 plus 1.43 plus 1.6 plus 23.47 plus 0.81. Total area captured by the Russian forces is 73.16 square kilometers. Massive frontline change in the past 24 hours. It's massive. I'm going to use the word in the title. Can't be helped. Happy birthday to you. And also, so subscribe, press the like button. Check out the videos I mentioned in the main channel, the sit rep, as well as the DPA news channel on the Azerbaijan-Russia dispute. And that's it. And have a great Friday, and I'll see you guys in the next update.